A new Hangout sitcom has arrived this week. It's about a tight-knit group of friends struggling to make it in New York City. It's probably going to remind you of this. You know what that is, right? I'll Be There For You, from the Rembrandts, the theme song to Friends. I mean, think about the lyrics of that song. Your job's a joke, you're broke, your love life's DOA. Those lyrics might as well be speaking to a new sitcom with Gen Z's answer to Ross, Rachel, and the whole gang. And it sounds like this.
You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I just need to hear from work.
What is the worst that happens?
I go broke. I can't pay my loans. I start an OnlyFans, but only you guys subscribe.
You can't do OnlyFans.
Yeah, you wouldn't make it on there, so sorry.
That is from a trailer for Adults. It's a new series arriving on Disney Plus Canada this week. Our pop culture watcher, Rad Simon Pillay, joins us to talk about this latest evolution in the Friends formula. Hey there, Rad.
Hi, Chris.
So besides the basic premise, why is this new show being compared to Friends?
I mean, there's so many similarities because, like, of course, it's friends in their mid-20s, all in Arrested Development, all in various stages of employment, which is in this sense, it's navigating either unemployment or dead-end jobs, and all of them crowding around the same dwelling, right? Because remember, in Friends, it was two Manhattan apartments opposite each other, but of course, they were always at Monica's apartment. In the case of adults, I mean, Gen Z's not affording a Manhattan apartment, so they're all crowding into a single house in Queens. And you know, like, the similarities are intentional. I mean, the show's created by Ben Cronenberg and Rebecca Shaw, and these are 29-year-old writers who acknowledge that, hey, we grew up on a diet of Friends, and we're making our version of that so that we could speak to the frustrations of Gen Z.
Yeah, and how is this show portraying this generation?
I mean, it's portraying them as, like, deeply knowledgeable about the state of the world because, of course, this is the generation that grew up with all the information of the world at their fingertips. So they know everything about social and political and global conflicts and histories of oppression and psychological trauma. And yet they're so deeply unserious and unprepared. I mean, and through no fault of their own, really, because these are characters who are weaned on social media, grew up with, like, Uber and DoorDash, and they struggle with just basic young adult functions like changing a tire or roasting a chicken. And, you know, like, they're, of course, dealing with, like, you know, an affordability crisis and a lack of opportunity in the job market where, you know, they're looking out into the world and they almost have no ambition because, like, financial success, like, to them, that's a pipe dream. In fact, the pilot episode, it's all about them being envious about of a former classmate who they deemed successful. Like, that guy made it, but in this case, successful is, like, he was harassed on the job and he achieved viral victim status. You know, it's interesting. I mean, I heard you guys talking about, like, how, like, oh, this title, Adults, like, what is that, right? But it's like the show was originally titled Snowflakes, which is like this, I guess this, like, you know, this reflecting, like, this condescending way an older generation might view these urban Gen Z kids. But yeah, and the thing is, like, the show isn't really here to mock them, right? But to empathize with the way the world isn't really giving them a chance. And the fact that it's, like, grappling with all this stuff in really fun and raunchy and hilarious ways, like, I think it's really impressive. Like, you know, it doesn't knock it out the park. I mean, I've seen 6 episodes and some are brilliant, some miss the mark, but it's got the formula down and the chemistry down, which I think is, like, that's a great position to be in, especially for, like, future seasons.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's set in New York City. It's filmed in Toronto. I know there's some Canadians in the cast as well. Tell us about them.
Yeah, I mean, one of the show's stars comes from Calgary, Malik Elisal. Yeah, who's, you know, he's been named like a rising star in the stand-up world, and he's really the anchor of the show, and he's so great in it. And also, it also stars Jack Innanen from Toronto, who became like a viral star over the past few years for his comedy skits on TikTok, where he has like more than 3 million followers. And you know, in these really, like, you know, he was recording these skits. He became popular while he was at U of T, and he was in these really hilarious skits. He would play like multiple characters in casual conversation with each other that get like extremely random and hostile and chaotic within seconds. And seconds, of course, because you're dealing with TikTok and short attention spans and the craving for instant gratification, which is so typical of Gen Z.
Yeah, and I know you spoke with one of those actors. What did he have to say about the show?
Yeah, so I interviewed the viral star, Jack Innanen, and, you know, like we were talking about, like, first of all, his character, who was, like, the heartthrob newcomer to the friend group. His character, Paul Baker, they actually made the character Canadian just to match the actor playing him. And if we're keeping up, like, the Friends comparisons, like, he would be, like, the Joey. right? The how you doing? Like, the guy, the hot guy who's a bit spacey, but also drops these like ridiculously hilarious and chaotic and almost poetic lines that are, again, very in tune with this actor's online sensibilities, but also just in tune with like Gen Z sensibilities, right? Specifically their language. Because Chris, I mean, I think they're speaking their own language, right? Like very plugged in, very hyper aware, hyper referential, and often chaotic language. And some of the funniest moments in this show is when like there's this breakdown in communication between like Gen Z and Gen X where they're on different wavelengths. I mean, there's a great moment where a Gen X man can't understand what Jack Innanen's character Paul Baker is saying. Meanwhile, like Paul Baker is just completely thrown by some of the cancelable expressions this Gen X man would throw out there, and he only responds with like, "What is the spectrum of your language?" And I think that that moment, that line, I think really just captures the essence of this show. And specifically this failure for these generations to understand each other, and this is what Jack Innanen had to say about that.
Yeah, there's a difference in even just understanding of the world. Like you talk about the job crisis or something, and your parents say like, "Oh, go in and just give the CEO give him a hard handshake and give him your resume and you'll get the job." No, like it's like I've applied to like 600 jobs on Indeed and heard nothing back. So I think there is not only like a language crisis, there's like just an understanding crisis. I'm like, no, my job doesn't exist anymore because like AI took it last week. Like that's just gone now. Yeah. So I think that. But then I also, a beautiful thing of Gen Z is a lot of the kind of corporate language has disappeared, and like we speak to each other, and I hear like in corporate emails, I'll be emailing someone, and there's so much like slang used in like, "Oh, can we just like, I'm just gonna raw dog this meeting." Like that's like that to my parents' ears. They're like, "Sorry."
Chris, I don't know if I'm sending you a work email with the phrase raw dog.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems over the line to me, personally.
Yeah, I know, right? But, and again, like that just speaks for like, we have these completely different sensibilities and we're moving through this world in different ways. And again, that's what this show is so good at capturing.
Are we in a moment now where the talent of this newer generation is coming up via social media?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like a wave of especially like a wave of new shows that are aiming to speak that very Gen Z hyper online language, and they're tapping talent on social media. And Innanen spoke about this too, because he referred to like one of the great sitcoms of the past year that you and I spoke about before, English Teacher, is created by Brian Jordan Alvarez, who again broke out with his viral TikTok sketches. And there's another comedy series that actually landed on Prime Video a couple weeks ago called Overcompensating. Really funny, raunchy comedy about a closeted sophomore navigating college, also shot in Toronto. And it's based on creator Benito Skinner's own life. And, Benito Skinner, another social media star, goes by Benny Drama on TikTok and Instagram. And even adults, like it's not just Jack Innanen who made it big on social media before, coming to this moment. Like the show's creators, Ben Cronenberg and Rebecca Shaw, they became famous for their graduation speech at Yale, which went viral because their speech was in front of Hillary Clinton, because they were performing this hilarious bit as a college couple breaking up as a metaphor for moving on from college. And they had they had these risque double entendres using the word endowed that had Hillary Clinton visibly laughing out loud, right? So that's how they got attention. So, we're definitely in a moment where in order to appeal to the TikTok generation and get them to watch content that's longer than 45 seconds, these new shows are tapping that online talent. Cynical way to look at this, though, is that they're tapping these viral stars to lure their followers, which is, a thing that happens even when some of these viral stars aren't even talented enough to carry a show or even a scene. But in the case of like shows like English Teacher and adults, I mean, you have shows that are tapping these viral stars because they speak that language, but also, to paraphrase Innanen, because these talents can kill it when it comes to TikTok, they can kill it when it comes to a speech, and they can kill it when it comes to a sitcom.
Yeah. Well, it's great to talk to you about this, Rad. Thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
Pop culture watcher Rad Simon Pillay.